All right, we got the threaded rod welded in here. Next thing I'm gonna do is weld the washer on here. So that'll be my stop, and there'll be a flange that goes on here, and that'll keep it from moving. I added an extra washer and a nut, tighten it down, and that just holds it, make sure I'm good and flat here. And then I'll just tack it a couple times back here and try it, and then we'll take this off and we'll go try it on the bench. All right, so this is the handle construction here. I'll just kind of show you how it's made. So the first piece here is just a 7/8 coupler. I cut it in half, and then I drilled a hole in here. This is where my set bolt will go into my shaft. On the three sides, I welded 1/2-inch nuts, and so this is the center piece here. The handle itself, now I turned this on the CNC machine. You can do it by hand, obviously, too. Here I'm going to probably inlay a piece of walnut. So I turned this, and then I cut these little blocks. I just put a little small taper on them, drilled the holes. So that's the construction. So this little block here drops into this point here. Okay, and these rods tighten down. Now the reason I did this was because if I built it all in wood, if you get to jerk on it too hard, you might break it. So this here, when the handles get epoxied, these get epoxied in here. When those get epoxied in, I'm actually grabbing a piece of metal to metal to metal. So you can pretty get rough with it, and it shouldn't break. So.
And credit happens to good people. In fact, millions of Americans are victims of it.
right, so the first thing we'll go over is the cross here. So it's two pieces of about 19 inches long, I believe, 1/2 inch thick by 1 inch wide, bolted in the middle. They're not attached on the bottom. Then they're attached at the top with what it did is it took, I believe it was 1.5 or 1.25 square tubing cut in half, and then just bolted in with some spacers. The bottom two guides here, and I'll get you a close up of all this in a minute. The bottom two guides are the square tubing cut in half, and then the guide for each side. The screw here is from a scaffolding level jack. I did put a solid maple bushing on here on the inside. So to hold this in, you saw where we had the washer welded on, and then I just bought a 1 inch pipe flange, and that holds the washer in place. And then we got the handle, which I showed you there. So okay, your leveling jack will come with this wing nut. I cut one side off. I put mine inside of a block. You don't have to do that, but I just did it. So, and then that's bolted on the back side. All right, so here's the operation of the vise. We'll show you how smooth it runs. All right, we'll show you how the cross works. So I've got a board here. I'm going to clamp it in here sideways. Okay. So the way the cross works is once this side here, once you clamp the board, since this side can't squeeze any more in, neither can this side. The only way this can come in is if this comes in. So we can sit there and tighten this down now. You watch. It's okay, right there is pretty tight. Okay, and now it's held in place. It's not racking. So that's how your cross works. And then when we go back, now that we don't have anything holding this in, now the bottom can go in. Leveling. All right, so this is the underside of my tail vise. So we've got the leveling screw here from the leveling, scaffolding leveling. This piece of metal came with it. I just cut it off and used it for my guide. Okay. The wing nut is welded into this piece of metal that comes with your bar. The two side guide rails are made from the 1 inch wide by 1/4 inch thick, 3 pieces. Okay, you got one thin piece in the, you got one cut in half in the middle and your two sides. And that gets your 2 side rails. Now on the back side of my screw, I did put a block just to kind of keep the screw from, kind of support the screw a little bit. And on the other side, what I ended up doing is installing a bearing on this end. This is a number 6007 bearing. And that just kind of keeps it supported and makes it run a little smoother. Okay, the bearing's just cut into a block of maple and then held in with two screws just to hold it in. I think the other screw's on the back side here. And then the block is just mounted to the frame. Okay. So that's the whole tail vise. And then the 2 sidebars are just held up with 4 wood screws into the frame on both sides. All right, on the top side, all I did was cut a piece of block, the width of my opening, which mine is 2 inches. And then to cut it down and bolted it to the plate on the inside, and then I added some leather on both ends. Okay, for the handle for the tail vise, it's constructed similar to the leg vise handle. Inside here, we've got the 7/8 inch coupler nut with the set screw, and it's got the same 1/2 inch nuts that are welded on it with 3 bolts in here. And what I do with the bolts, I just cut off the ends and then just ground in a straight cut for a screwdriver slot so I can screw them in. Okay, and it's attached to the 7/8 inch bolt that is welded into the end of the screw, the leveling jack screw. And then again here, it's just held in place with this 1 inch pipe coupler. And then you saw where we added the spinner handle to it. The handle itself, let me move it around here so you can see the end of it here. The handle itself is constructed, as I turned this one on the CNC machine. I also added a piece of hard maple to the backside, and when I glued these together, I made sure the grains were running in opposite direction to give it a little more strength. And so then I just added a cap to the end of it. So that's the tail vise there.